Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, Proline. Betting on Proline is now easier than ever with their new app. Download it today and make things interesting. I'm Lindsay Dunn. That's Dan Riccio, and that is Cabbie. Thank you for joining us on Friday, where it is absolutely beautiful in Dunedin, Florida, where I am for the Blue Jays training camp. And they only have a couple of spring training games left. But guys, before we get into anything about the Toronto Blue Jays and the injuries, breaking news. Dennis Rodman is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. What?
Well,
what?
Like, why do we care about Dennis Rodman? About it? Like, why is Dennis Rodman going into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame? First of all, like, wasn't he in the NWO or something? I don't know. This is a stretch for me. This is even bad for professional wrestling. This is bad.
It was one of the weirder choices. I think wasn't he in the WCW on Nitro, like during the NBA Finals of that one episode in The Last Dance where the bro has like, I need to blow off some steam. I'm going to go wrestle with Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash in the WC. Yeah, just weird.
Isn't he also friends with like Kim Jong-un or somebody like that? That's not
I believe so,
great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So probably not.
Story checks out for Dennis Rodman. But I'm going to give you an update of what's happening here. And the players are just starting to make their way to the field in front of me. They're going to do a little bit of batting practice for the players that did not make their way to Fort Myers to watch or take part in the game against Minnesota. What happened in the clubhouse earlier today? Do you guys know the song by Toto called On the Line?
No. I only know Africa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. That song is overplayed. I hate it. But it's like, well, how does it go? Like, on the line. Love isn't always on time. I can't sing. But when you hear that song, you will know it.
If I heard it, I would know it, yes.
Yeah, but just not for me, because it's bad. But you had George Springer belting it at the top of his lungs and like Ernie Clement singing it back to him. And then you had Ernie in the most intense ping pong game against Addison Barger. So the competitive nature is high in the clubhouse, but also the vibes, they are good. Apparently loving the song by Toto and a little Justin Timberlake. And then Vladdy also was just talking about his handshake with Big Oak. So when we go into that, hey, things are good.
Vlad and Big Oak have a handshake together?
Well, kind of like a fist bump and a bow.
Oh,
which
okay.
I believe is what happened on the broadcast. I saw some clips of it. I don't know. I was in the outfield watching Addison run into the wall in an amazing play. Like yesterday, you had Dalton hit a home run. Georgie hit a grand slam. And I love that the Yankees lose. I don't care if it's in the spring training or regular season. I am happy about that.
The games don't mean anything right now, right, Lindsay?
I know they don't mean anything, but still they lose and it's great. And I'm happy about that. I don't care if it's spring training or not.
Right.
Anytime the Yankees lose
Jays
to the
beat
Jays,
a bunch of Yankees minor leaguers. Let's take this momentum into the season. I love it.
And there's a grand slam. There was a run into the wall. Like, come on, let's take this moment and enjoy it, because what we're going to talk about, fans may not enjoy. And it's the fact that Trey Yesavage will start the season on the injured list, dealing with like a right shoulder injury, and I had the chance to speak to him yesterday. Here's what he had to say about it. When did you kind of realize something was bothering you?
Really right before I got to camp. Yeah.
And what has like the feeling been like? Did they give you a timeline or recovery process?
Yeah, I mean, not so much of a timeline. It's really just listening to the body and watching how I recover and whatnot, but has been given a program in the training room and whatnot to get me healthy and feeling good now.
When you heard the news, and yes, Dan, what do you have to say?
He didn't seem too happy, but it's normal, He's got an injury and he's not going to start the season on time, so I can imagine he's going through it a little bit right now.
Yeah, the almost entire comment section on this video on our Instagram, which make sure to follow us on Off the Roster Pod, was, I'm going to say, conspiracy theories about how he's not actually injured. There's been a lot of storylines about his, maybe lack of involvement in spring training, how they were waiting to see, what he was going to do, getting a slow build up to him actually participating in a spring training game, and then it never happened. And so some are like, oh, he's not injured because they're just kind of, Dan, I'm actually going to let you explain it, because I'm just actually annoyed by the storyline, and maybe I am too trusting of people for their word and face value, which is something that I've been burned on over and over and over again.
So I get that there is some wonder as to what exactly is going on here, because the Blue Jays, for the entirety of this spring, when asked about Trey Yesavage, they've just said, we're taking it slow with him. We've got a plan for him. But yesterday was different. When the news came down that he's going to the IL with a shoulder impingement, it was, we had a plan, but that plan changed because of the injury that showed up when Trey Yesavage got to Dunedin. So I understand where people are coming from. Like, oh, they're just doing this for his contract, and it's not a big deal. Like, anytime a pitcher has a shoulder injury of any kind, you should be worried. Like, it's not good. It's right there with like elbow soreness, or forearm inflammation, which can eventually be Tommy John surgery, as we've learned over the years. But shoulder injuries can be finicky. They can plague guys all year long. For as much as you want to downplay it, sure, I'm here with you. I want to believe that Trey Yesavage is going to pick up right where he left off, starting 3 games in the World Series and basically being the Blue Jays' closest version to Yoshi Yamamoto. But I got to say, like, this isn't the best way to start the season. I'd rather it was just the Blue Jays being like, we're continuing to build him up. We're going to slow play him. We want to limit his innings because he's still a very young pitcher, but they're pretty clear on this. There's some kind of an injury that changed, that altered their plan for Trey Yesavage this preseason.
It's reasonable to assume that Toronto's trying to protect his arm. And how will they go about doing so? Like, what is the strategy? Is it, leaning heavier on the bullpen? Is it limiting his early inning or limiting his outings earlier in the season? Occasionally skipping some starts or adding a 6th starter. At times, Toronto has like 8 starters. I don't know if other teams were bemoaning that Toronto was like collecting starting pitching, but it worked out, because we're still figuring out or not who's going to be announced as the 5th starter, whether it be Eric Lauer or someone else. But Trey Yesavage is, he's got incredible potential. His debut in Major League Baseball was phenomenal, and what he did in the World Series was just legendary and stuff of potentially a Hollywood movie moving forward. But I understand I kind of understand I don't know if I quite call it a conspiracy theory, but some of the concerns of Blue Jay fans because of service time manipulation. That he's going to start on the IL, where Trey Yesavage will accrue big league service time, but then the rehab starts will likely be in the minor leagues, and that doesn't count towards. My understanding is it does not count towards big league service time. So if they keep him under 172 games this season of big league service time, then on the back end, the team has 1 more year of control of Trey Yesavage before he can become a free agent, which means then his salary is cheaper. So I kind of get it. There were some concerns about how Toronto handled Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and didn't just start him day 1 of the season in 2019, like they waited 30 or 45 days. I can't remember exactly what it was to get that extra time, that extra year of control. Ultimately, they paid him the bag, $500 million, because he earned it. But this front office has a bit of that in the past, so I understand it from a Blue Jays fan perspective. Like, is this some service time manipulation, or is this injury legit? I believe it's legit, but I understand how, like, on the edges there could be some concern.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe how much it dominated the conversation, that even former Blue Jay Dalton Pompey weighing in on the conversation with an emoji, which is the face palm emoji. And I actually ducked off camera for a second, so just wanted to see what happened. So Trey did make his way onto the field here. They are just running a couple exercises, but he's not fully participating in that, to add to everyone's theory about whether or not he is injured. Either way, all that matters is he will not be starting this season on the roster. He will be on the injured list, like we mentioned, but I spoke to the veteran. He is pitching off a mound
next Wednesday, we should add. So that is a good sign that he is, going to be pitching off a mound. And then probably, as John Schneider said yesterday, they ramp him up from there. I guess a perfect timeline would be you see Trey Yesavage somewhere towards the end of the first month of the season or early in May.
Yeah, and the conversation, like you mentioned, it was about the pitching rotation, who is going to go where, who is going to do what. And so yesterday we were talking about his mustache, that being Dylan Cease. He is healthy, feeling well. We saw Cody Ponce pitch in his final regular season game. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, on the Nation Network, you're seeing, somewhat depleted Trey Yesavage was walking around the complex yesterday, as he was today after the news broke how he was not going to start the season. And then right here, all of the pitchers in them, there are so many guys that are waiting for this chance if the opportunity gets so badly that they would have to bring in a starter that none of us thought would potentially start in the beginning of the season. We went from, oh my gosh, they have everybody on this roster, the pitching is looking great, to the worryometer, Dan.
We're bringing out the worryometer, yes.
I feel like out of the three of us, yours is usually a little bit higher than where Cabbie and I might be.
My worryometer on the Jays rotation right now, it's at a 7. This is. Oh. I know that it felt like a strength when they signed Max Scherzer. It was like, where are they going to put all these guys? They've got too many, and all of a sudden you're looking at it. Shane Bieber, we don't know when he's going to go. Still hasn't started pitching off a mound. Jose Berrios is down with the elbow problem. Now Trey Yesavage as well. So Eric Lauer is going to be the 5th starter going into the season. But one more injury, and you're like, well, who's going to step into starting moments now? Like maybe they'll have to pull Jamie Moyer out of retirement to get some innings going. I know I'm it's not a little bit hyperbolic, but they don't necessarily have. They don't have a next guy after Eric Lauer, right? Like Eric Lauer is supposed to be that last guy before it starts to get a little bit more of a dicey situation. That's a deeper rotation than most teams have. I understand that. But after you have Gausman and Cease, you look at the rest of the Blue Jays rotation. Cody Ponce looked great in spring training, seems to have great stuff. We still don't know exactly how that's going to translate to major league games. I'm positive about it, but there's still a bit of an unknown there. Max Scherzer, he is what he is at 40 plus years old. We saw him play really well at times last year. I think he's going to be serviceable as he was, but there was also nights where he just couldn't get outs. Like he couldn't put guys away. The stuff wasn't there. The strikeout stuff wasn't there as it was earlier in his career, but you still feel like you got a pretty good floor with Max Scherzer. And then there's Eric Lauer, where he was incredible last year because there was zero expectations on this guy, and he outperformed them all and was a godsend for the Blue Jays for most of last season. But yeah, it's fair to have question marks of, can he replicate that going into this season in the minutes or in the innings that he's going to get now? So yeah, one more injury and this could get dicier for the Blue Jays rotation.
For the audio audience, I'm holding up a 0. My worryometer is at a 0. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to pantomime -8 on the screen. I'm not concerned at all. We have 8 starting pitchers for 5 spots. Like there's and
3 of them are hurt.
I know, but you're going to mix in some bullpen starts too. Like this, bro, it's March, homie.
Yes.
Savage won't be on the IL for that long.
I think we're underestimating how good the AL Beast is here. The Orioles.
Yes.
They got
Orioles,
loaded up
Tampa.
this summer. The Right Sox have the best rotation in baseball. Yankees are getting Garrett Cole back. I mean, there's a lot. It's a deep division.
Breathe, Dan.
Toronto started 16-20 last year, my dude, or 16-24, one of those two. And then won 94 games. Yes, there were a bunch of guys that overachieved, but man, I'm sorry. But this team,
I love it.
I know. I banged the mic there. But this team could just lean on what they did. They have the experience to dig themselves out of slow starts, and we might see one. We may not. Like the offense is retooled. We have a great defense. Kazuma Akamoto and Vlad, as Lindsay was saying, have a handshake. He's got the bow. Bro is bow. Like, bro is going to be – he had a double the other – like, we're going to be fine.
Success last year doesn't guarantee any success this year. There's the level of talent in the division. The level of depth in the division. changes the conversation. I know the season hasn't started yet, but games in April mean just as much as they do in September. And the slow start, they were able to overcome it last year. We've seen other years where they can't overcome their slow starts in the Vladdy and Bo Bichette era. So I'm just cautious about how things have started off here with the amount of injuries to their rotation, and understanding that this is not going to be just because you got there last year and you were so close to beating the Dodgers in the World Series doesn't guarantee you anything for this season.
Okay. Both sides have been heard. My
Politely
worry,
disagree, but whatever.
Yeah,
keep it rolling, Liz.
worryometer is at a 0 also. I am watching them do a drill right now, and they all look great, but also I am terrible because in the moment, like say it gets to, they have to bring a bullpen guy out there. I'm like, I want to see Louis Varland start a game. I trust him and feel like he could bring the heat. But Max Scherzer, we brought up a moment ago, I spoke to him yesterday. He has dealt with injury himself. He's been in the league now 19 seasons. And I had him weigh in on what Trey is going through right now, starting on the IL and the upcoming season. Here's what the future Hall of Famer had to say.
For him, there's kind of two parts of showing what you got to be able to do here. And you check the biggest box of saying that he can pitch here and he can get guys out. That's the hardest part. He checked that box. We've seen that. The second hardest part is staying healthy and being physical and understand the durability component to this, because it doesn't matter how good your stuff is if you can't be out there. That's a problem. But what he's going through is what all kind of young guys go through. Like even myself, I was in his situation, having to pitch all the way through the World Series and try to you really got to learn yourself, learn all what you have to do in the off season to put yourself to be healthy, to be durable. And he's just going through a learning process. It's nothing that he did anything wrong. It's just he's learning his own body. And so, this is just a chance for him to understand what he has to do to get his arm right. My program can't work for him. He's got to figure out his own program. And so he's just in a learning curve, and that's actually good.
Nice.
I can listen.
He's not worried.
I can listen.
Doesn't sound like he's worried at all.
He's not worried. He wasn't worried at all. And I also asked him about the narrative surrounding Cody Ponce, whether or not he thinks, how his pitch will translate, because we've seen him perform so well in spring training, and as Dan brought up, how he was in the other league, and what's going to happen actually when we get into Major League Baseball game. We will have that interview for you guys next week. But another storyline surrounding the team is Jose Berrios, who has had a roller coaster of emotion the last couple of weeks, because he was going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic, and then he couldn't get the insurance because, well, it was revealed that he's dealing with an injury. He was excited and ready to go. So I asked him, what has the last week and a half been like for you?
So understand the thing, like the God's plan, and just see it, understand it, and go through it. Like I start my rehab again. I was 5 days short down, not playing catch. Today was my second day playing catch back, so I'm feeling great. The MRI says something, but my arm feeling great.
Is that how you found out, and you didn't really know anything else was that?
Yeah, I was pitching pretty well, and then I had to do an MRI for trying to play in WBC, and then that's when they find I had something in my arm. But other than that, I've been feeling great.
I know you're a very positive person, but has it been frustrating dealing with it like this?
I mean, like I say, it's been different for me, but being like a positive guy, and also guy believe in God and had a faith. It was like I had to deal with that and had to be strong. And like I said, I had great people around me, so it's been a good process so far.
I know you weren't able to play in the World Baseball Classic, but you do have some amazing cleats that were custom for this. Can you talk about what you were going to rock?
Yeah, I mean, it always had our race, like our flag, the ocean. We got the map, like Caribbean section. I like to have always, no flow, but something particular out there that my kid, other kid and fans can enjoy it too. Like besides play baseball, they also can enjoy what we bring to the field.
I like those cleats. Those are pretty dope.
broke my heart when I looked down and saw them right before we were just talking, and asked him, like, do you mind if I ask you about them? Because they are so beautiful. And I know he'll wear them during the regular season, but that just adds to the heartbreak. And he is such a positive guy. And we all know the storyline surrounding him in the World Series and him not being there, but then also going back to when he pitched for the Blue Jays against Minnesota in the playoffs. So it has been kind of a time and tenure with the Blue Jays full of highs and lows. But Dan, are you optimistic that he will be able to get back to form? And I know your worryometer in general is already pretty high. Where is it at with Jose?
Well, I was curious to see what he was going to bring in spring training, and some of those first starts were intriguing that the velo was up. But again, anytime there's an injury involved, you kind of wonder how it is going to play out. You know, even with all the starters that came in, like let's say everybody did stay healthy and you've got Max Scherzer, Trey Yesavage, Shane Bieber, it's like, well, who's the odd man out? In that case, you know, it was probably going to be Jose Berrios. So I think this is a huge year for him. He obviously wants to bounce back from what he was and how his season finished last year. But also remember, there were stretches of last year, especially early on last year, where he was eating up innings and being very valuable to the Blue Jays rotation early in the season. So he's going to be missed, you know, and for him, this is new territory because he's generally been a very durable guy.
His elbow issue, isn't it like bone, not ligament? So he's like, once the inflammation goes down,
stress fracture, yeah,
a stress fracture. Okay,
yeah.
so he'll be able to pitch through it. It's not like a torn ligament or a broken bone. It's I guess we don't know his pain tolerance. I guess we'll see. But I'm always optimistic that these guys will, as Max said, learn their bodies and know what they can tolerate and find the right plan or program to help them be at their optimal, even though they're probably even though in Jose Berrios' case he'll be battling what seems like a nagging injury, but not one that's hopefully will sideline him for a very long time.
We're very hopeful that it will not sideline him for a long time. But when you talk about, you know, them knowing their body and hoping that they're not sidelined for a long time, I was actually shocked when the press release came out yesterday that Leafs captain Austin Matthews had to get surgery. It looks like he will be out around 12 weeks. So, yeah, there's no worry about him returning to training camp. But, guys, I had no idea that Gunas' hit on him that took him out of the game was so bad that he would have to get surgery. When you kind of saw that release and that he got surgery, were you also surprised? Because, honestly, I would say I was shocked.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised yesterday. Generally, you know, it's good news that it wasn't, you know, a full ACL tear. We know that can be, you know, like a 9-month injury to recover from that kind of a surgery. This is an MCL sprain, and generally, like, I guess it depends. I'm no doctor, but you know, you don't often see guys end up going under the knife for an MCL sprain. But obviously, they think this is the best way to get Matthews back and ready to go for the start of next season. So ultimately, that's all that matters for the Maple Leafs. They need their captain back and playing at his ultimate potential.
Also, I was also shocked, Lindsay. I was like, whoa, MCL, like, and what that collision didn't seem that bad, but we know that Matthews has been dealing with a litany of things this season. I mean, we don't know the specifics because hockey players are always cagey about revealing too much. So maybe it's like some other things got cleaned up, or this allows other things on his body to get cleaned up or surgery on. But yeah, I was pretty surprised about that diagnosis.
Leafs will be taking on Carolina Hurricanes today. We're going to have the man known to many as J.M. Isle. I know people have made comments about you can't trust people with 2 first names, but we will absolutely trust him. How would you trust yourself if you were in net and your coach was going to take a shot on you in front of 8,000 fans? Yesterday was the Toronto Maple Leafs fan day at Scotiabank Arena. Joseph Woll was in net, and they had a shootout. And Craigie B, he decided that he was going to take a shot. So if you look at this is Craig, yep.
Going in nice and slow.
This.
Well, he doesn't have moves like Trevor Zegras, so I'll say that. Yeah.
If I was Woll, I would have moved right out of the way and be like, yes, please. Right here, score. And then I laughed at some of the comments like, he didn't try hard enough. Well, can you imagine if he hurt him? Like the storylines out of that. Like,
I mean, if he bowled into him, like if he ran him over, then he maybe hurt him. But not with a shot from a guy that's like 60. This is like Ed Olczyk or
that's
or
90s Craig Berube with the mullet flying out of the back of his helmet too.
Yeah. Yeah. Morgan Riley did not participate in it yesterday because he was dealing with the flu, but it was interesting for the people that I know that were covering the game or the practice yesterday. They said the fan base was so exciting. I think Max Domi even addressed it, saying it was like the most electric that he's heard the crowd all season long, which not sure if you want to make that comment, but I also love it. And I know we have to talk serious about the Leafs, but if you can just indulge me, guys, and let me tell you my favorite part of the fan day yesterday, and I love that the Leafs did this, is that the guys who have dogs, they actually brought them out on the ice. Dogs in sports, win-win. Mark Shapiro, let me bring my dog to the Blue Jays game. So this is Nylander and his dog.
That's a good doggo right there.
My dog would go to the bathroom on the ice. Let's be real. What a good dog. Like 10 out of 10 content. This is a great distraction from the season that has happened.
Dogs on ice. I mean, what if they like slide all over the place?
They have no carpet. Like they just let them run on the ice. Not like I guess I've seen it in other stadiums where they have like a carpet. Or maybe it's basketball. No, basketball. I think they let them. No, they just like a track. I'm surprised. Anyway, but that's a fun video.
Not fun though is the reports of how many teams were actually interested in Matthew Nyes on the deadline. Elliot Friedman reporting this, and Dan, do you want to kind of expand on just what the interest was?
Yeah. So Elliot Friedman in his 32 Thoughts column mentioned that Anaheim, Chicago, Montreal, New Jersey, and Utah were teams that expressed interest in Matthew Nyes. And I was surprised that there was so much smoke around this. Nyes is a guy like we talked about this with Jay Rosehill last week. This feels like a guy you want to build around, right? He's a power forward. He brings an element to this team that they lacked through the prime years of the core four, and he feels like a guy that you should want to continue working with. There's so few players like Tom Wilson around the league, and the fact that Matthew Nyes can profile in a similar way to Tom Wilson, maybe not with the highest end of physicality that Wilson has, but like that's a player you want on your roster and you want to build around. So I was surprised by this, and ultimately I think it's the best decision that the Leafs did not make this deal. Given the uncertainty around Brad Treliving's future, if you don't know that he's the guy, you don't let him pull the trigger on a big move like that, on a roster, like a big shake-up kind of move to the core. That would be unadvisable. You could move out the guys that are on unrestricted free agent contracts, that whatever, they're gone in the offseason anyways. Those are minimal deals. But moving a big piece like Matthew Nyes, you better be damn sure that's something you're wanting to do, and that the guy who's steering that ship is here for a few years after.
It's no surprise to me that teams would be calling about his availability. If
100%.
The league knows that the Maple Leafs are not advancing to the playoffs and are maybe sellers, or in agent circles or GM circles, like the Leafs are sellers, then absolutely pick up the phone call and see about his availability. The kid is 23 years old and has, 12, 15 years ahead of him. I was like starting to is 15 too much at 23? I puts him at 38. Like, yeah, I shouldn't put any limits on his future, but he's a very talented player. And you're right, Dan, doesn't have the top end physicality like a Tom Wilson, but I believe he should be a big part of the Toronto Maple Leafs future. There's a guy here who has 30 goal potential. And, when you add a playmaker to that top line who can, feed him the puck consistently, then good things will start to happen or continue to happen. Obviously a down year for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year, but the future can be bright with some retooling and some rebuilding.
When we talk about a bright future, do you know who the youngest defenseman ever is to reach 50 points?
That would be Matthew Schaefer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
This is unbelievable, guys. Just
Schaefer is, he's a freak. Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the league right now, and there's a real chance that Matthew Schaefer gets to that level, which is crazy because, we were talking about, and we have been talking about Cale Makar being a generational type defenseman, and already you have Matthew Schaefer, as good as he is 18. We've never seen a defenseman this good at 18 in recent memory.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't get over what he's doing at his age. I still was trying to drive properly because I'm a terrible driver. Sorry to admit that here. But when we look at that and then you think of the storyline surrounding the Oilers, I don't think anybody thought really at the beginning of the year that there would potentially be a chance that they could miss the playoffs. I don't know, what your guys' thoughts are on this.
Man, it's
just.
Oh, you hear Knobloch after every game, and it's just I thought we had good chances. They finished theirs, we didn't finish ours. It's good. Yeah, you're not getting any saves, man. What do you want? So it's a tough spot for the Oilers. I mean, they lose 4-0. The Panthers, death taxes, and the Panthers owning the Oilers right now. It's just it's a given, and it's. They're still in a comfortable spot, but it's really because the Pacific Division is as poor as it is. They lose again last night, but everybody else in the Pacific also lost. Vegas lost, San Jose lost to Buffalo. LA even lost in a shootout to Philadelphia. So the Oilers are lucky that it's kind of a turtle derby there in the Pacific Division. They don't own their first round pick this year. It is unprotected and gone. To the San Jose Sharks in the Jake Wallman trade. So they better make sure they lock down that spot or they're going to be in an uncomfortable position similar to the Maple Leafs.
We're going to continue our Maple Leaf talk right now, bringing in a former Maple Leaf and former player for Carolina Hurricanes. Many know him as JML. Of course, we are talking about the man with 2 first names, John Michael Liles. Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, I think your mic may be muted, so we will
try and
talk
get
through
that
this
audio sorted out.
We do that. He also is a fantastic analyst and has a podcast, which is hilarious and insightful, and I can't wait to hear his thoughts on the Leafs and the game happening tonight. But I don't even know what to think. Yes, Cabbie.
One quick note about Edmonton. It feels inconceivable that the Oilers would miss the playoffs, but Leon Draisaitl is out for the rest of the regular season.
Yes.
So there's that. But Edmonton has 12 remaining games on its schedule. 10 of them are against playoff contending teams, and 6 of those teams that are playoff contenders are in the Pacific Division. So it won't be easy. It's going to be a slog for Edmonton to get to the postseason. But I can't imagine with the best player in the world on their roster with subpar goaltending, as you're right, Dan, and not just subpar goaltending, defense from 23 guys, that he might not make the playoffs, but I guess we shall see.
Well, there was a great screen or a great photo of a player from Dallas, Ritskovian, that was pointing over at the Oilers bench and chirping Tristan Jarry sitting there as the backup goalie, and Ray Ferraro later detailed that basically you can't even make a save, and then there's Connor McDavid laughing along with the Dallas player. It's kind of a tough look right now, and we've talked a lot about Brad Treliving. Stan Bowman getting a second chance at this whole GM thing after what happened in Chicago, and he hasn't made one good move. There certainly hasn't been many wins for Stan Bowman as GM of the Oilers to this point. So it's tough. And I don't want to see Connor McDavid on the outside of the playoffs. I hope that doesn't happen.
Same.
I also hope that doesn't happen, but I'm very hopeful to hear JML's voice right now as we welcome him back to the show. I think, let's see. How are you? Good morning.
There we go.
Yes.
Sultry tones of John Michael Liles. What's happening?
Yes.
The AirPods, it's a constant battle. It's a constant battle, but I'm glad you guys can hear me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you joining us on this Friday. And the first thing I'm going to ask you about really has nothing to do with tonight's game. It's just I had the chance to speak to future Hall of Famer, Major League pitcher Max Scherzer, who is going into his 19th season in the league. He's played for a number of teams. And I just asked him, like, where do you keep all of the merch and stuff that you've had? And like some people have storage units. So what I want to ask you is, do you even have anything from your Leafs tenure in your possession still?
That's a great question. And you know what? I do. I have in our house, I have a storage bin with all of my Leaf stuff. The one thing that I'm missing that I'm still rattled to this day is my Winter Classic jersey from 2014 when I got traded after warmups. I never saw that jersey again. And I was at Tyler Bozak's house a couple summers later, and he had it framed on his wall. And I am still bitter to this day because I set it down when I got traded after warmups, and it never made it into my bag, and I have no idea where that thing ended up.
We got to get the internet sleuths on this.
Somebody
to
knows.
Yeah,
somebody knows.
Bobby knows where it is. Bobby
knows exactly. Bobby knows.
Or we can get you one off of Temu. We can maybe replicate one for you for like $3. It's not a good option. I'm sorry, but man, that's rough. Come on, internet, find it for them.
Well, we got to get the internet sleuths on this one. So, JM, it's another great year for the Carolina Hurricanes, but curious, like what you've seen go on in from afar with Toronto this year. Obviously, not the year that they were hoping, but it's their first year in the Austin Matthews era outside of the playoffs. What's your take on what's gone on with the Leafs here?
Man, it's I don't know. It's hard because you see everything that happens with the Leafs, just given what Toronto is and what hockey means to Toronto, and I think it's been tough. I mean, listen, Mitch Marner leaving is never an easy thing. Like he was an amazing player for a long time for Toronto, and I don't know if maybe they underestimated his loss a little bit. And at the same time, listen, they've dealt with a ton of different injuries over the course of the year. I got to chat with Morgan Riley a bit when Toronto was in town. A guy that I played with a little bit at the end of my Leafs time, and it's tough. Some years are like that, and it's just not everything lines up each and every year. But yeah, you mentioned it. First time in the Austin Matthews tenure, missing the playoffs, and I'm sure that he's probably taken it as hard as anybody. And I'm familiar with a number of guys on that team. Brandon Carlo's a good friend of mine. I played with him in Boston when he was a rookie, and I've texted him here and there, but I've kind of left him at a distance because I'm sure he's really disappointed. So obviously not ideal this year for the Leafs and Leafs fans, but I'm sure that there will be plenty of evaluating once the season's over, and I'm sure they'll make some moves in the right direction to hopefully get back to where they were.
Yeah, it feels like with all the playoff disappointments, there was a lot of like, okay, how do we get over this hump? And maybe they went to the idea we need more physicality, we got to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more hard nosed in the playoffs, and it's almost like they went too far in the other direction. And I look at Carolina in a different way, where they've kind of stayed the course and felt and continue to be confident in their identity of their build and keep trying to knock that door down. This is the Leafs are kind of the way you don't want to do it, where you make too many changes and now it's a problem. Now you're not as good as you used to be.
Well, yeah, and it can be a little bit of be careful what you wish for. The NHL, let's be honest, is kind of a copycat league in the sense of you look at what Florida has did the last couple years, where they had a lot of skill, but that grit and that physicality, that was kind of their identity. And I feel like a lot of teams see that and they say, okay, we're going to go this direction and we're going to try and completely flip what we have been. And in reality, I feel like the margins are so small, in the regular season, but especially in the playoffs. And maybe it doesn't have to be we're flipping all the way to be this big, heavy, physical team where you've got a ton of skill like Toronto has had in the past and still has plenty of it. But you add pieces here and there. Far be it from me to dissect everything that a team does, but I think that it can be, when you're looking at how teams try and build and what they look at, it just seems like so many teams point to, okay, what's worked the last few years? We have to be exactly like that, instead of, realizing that, hey, we've got all this skill. Maybe it's just a tweak here or there. Or we add a piece, or a piece or two depth wise, or maybe top six or whatnot. It's hard, right? Like winning's hard, especially in the playoffs. The NHL, I mean, the Stanley Cup is arguably the toughest trophy to win, and it's like I said, the margins are so small and so thin that it can. It can be just one piece that puts you over the edge, and one play or one shift that makes, the difference between not getting into the playoffs, not getting out of the first round, and end up being a Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, and for Carolina, it's 92 points down the year. They're running away with the Metro Division. Ho-hum. They kind of fly under the radar as the number one team in the Eastern Conference somehow. But how do you feel about Carolina's chances this year? And do you think it can be their year in what feels like a more wide open Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I think it is. It's a wide open Eastern Conference. Carolina and, Rod Brindamore, I think that's a team that's really stuck to their identity for, the last few years. Roddy was an assistant coach when I was in Carolina, so very familiar with him and what he wants out of his team and his players. And, they're just, I mean, they're a lot like Colorado. I mean, I cover Colorado night in, night out, and in the sense of how they skate. They come at you wave after wave. They're fast. There's skill there. They've got some grit. I think there's still question marks. And when you look at what Carolina was trying to do, or what it was rumored they were trying to do at the deadline, I think they were still trying to add pieces. Will it work out for them in the playoffs? I mean, it seems like every year they're definitely one of those top teams, one of those teams that's in contention. And, they just haven't quite been able to get over the hump. But, is this the year? You said it, wide open Eastern Conference. It looks more this year than maybe in years past. So this definitely could be Carolina's year to kind of get over that hump and hopefully put themselves into a Stanley Cup final.
John Michael Liles, good morning, sir. It's great to see you again. Cabbie here. I can't remember the last time I accosted you, but I'm sure it was.
It's been a while.
It's either in Colorado or in Toronto. Oh, by the way, great work on the high point of Toronto's season was the 4-3 overtime victory in Colorado. And you were great on that broadcast. Legit. I learned a lot from you. So yeah, that game seemed like everybody was on like Red Bull or just had held down the speed boost because it was so fast. So one quick question about Colorado while I'm here. Cale Makar has 69 points this season. He is widely accepted as the best defenseman in the game. At what point do we just admit that he's the fourth forward and he just knows how to skate backwards very well?
That's a really good point.
The bro skill is amazing.
It is, and it's funny that you bring that up. I actually did a podcast earlier this week, and they were asking not about Makar, but they were asking about Lane Hudson and Matthew Schaefer, and really just kind of the way that offensive defenseman role has evolved. And I would say, obviously, Cale is right there in that conversation. Maybe I wouldn't say paved the way, but he's one of those guys that I think has made management and coaches around the league really rethink what that defenseman who skates so well can do. And it is like, I always joked, like I was an offenseman, right? Like if I'm back in the D zone trying to lay hits, something's wrong. And Makar he has that ability not only to join the rush, but to lead the rush. And you look at, Quinn Hughes, Lane Hudson, Matthew Schaefer, what these guys are doing and what the coaches and the teams have really kind of tweaked their style to allow them to do. It's impressive because when you see the impact that they have on games, and Cale, I'm fortunate enough I get to see it every night. The impact that he has, yes, he skates backward amazingly, but when he's at his best, he controls the game from the back end, and he's able to exit the zone cleanly. He's able to join the rush. He's able to lead the rush, and he provides that offense from the back end that, 20 years ago it was, hey, move the puck up, and if you can join as a second wave, great. But you have to play defense first. And now what you see is, hey, play offense first, and play a solid defensive game, but we want you to bring offense first and foremost. And I think that's, some of the tweaks that we're seeing around the league, and Cale Makar definitely has a big part of that.
I like that you said you're an offenseman. You're not a defenseman. So speaking of playing the quarterback, Carolina has 241 goals this year, which is third in the Eastern Conference. If you were the quarterback of that power play unit, would you even bother taking shots, or are you just always looking for Seth Jarvis or Sebastian Aho?
Oh, man. Most of my goals were scored top of the circle down, so I don't think I'm taking any shots from the blue line. I'm dishing first and foremost, and if I can shoot through a seam and score a goal from the hash marks, that's my sweet spot. I had pretty much the biggest muffin of all time, and somehow was still able to score goals. Most of those were you would have thought if they did a heat map of where I scored my goals, you would have thought I was a power forward, because it was all just right in front of the net and not necessarily at the blue line. I'm a pass first guy at the blue line.
I like that. Hey, listen, high danger. You had an office, and the office was right in the slot. That's where the high danger chances are. So you played the game correctly. One last one from me. You mentioned Rod Brindamore was your assistant coach when you were in Carolina, and Carolina's been to the Eastern Conference Finals twice in the last 3 years. If Carolina were to actually win the Stanley Cup as they did in 2006, do you think Rod Brindamore would actually allow the players to have a cheat day? Here, guys, have some pizza, or would it just be protein shakes in the Stanley Cup only? No, we're staying consistent with the diet and the nutrition.
I think there might be a cheat day in there, and if Roddy's on the same program right now as a head coach that he was as an assistant coach, I mean it's impressive seeing him. He's in the gym more than the players are, and it's not like these are old school workouts, right? These are weight vests. And these are he's doing 10 sets of calf raises with a weight vest, and he's doing stuff up against the wall that these are Herschel Walker workouts that Roddy Brindamore's doing. But it's amazing to see, and I loved Roddy. He's an unbelievable guy, Michigan State Spartan, like myself. So I always kind of root for Rod and the Canes, on the side. And yes, I think a cheat day or two, or maybe even a week, might be in order if the Canes are able to do it.
Hoping for a cheat week, cheat day, cheat
life.
I don't even know. Cheat life. I know. I'm whatever we're doing with this. I just want to let you know, first of all, thank you for joining us for your time. Before we let you go, our producer put in our lovely group chat that your jersey actually was auctioned off January 23rd, 2014. So somebody owns it, and we will find that somebody for you.
Somebody owns it, and I'm gonna find that thing. Somebody send me a message on Twitter or Instagram or something if you've got it. That would be amazing.
Oh my God, and then we will update everyone on the show. But we appreciate your time today. May you go have a cheat day and have some pizza or whatever you enjoy in life. We appreciate you. Thanks
you guys.
For your time.
Thanks, man. Great to see you again, bro.
Yeah, good seeing you guys. Take care.
We got to get him his jersey back. Oh, I can't. Yeah. And then it's maybe
I love that we found out it was auctioned. Amazing.
Yeah. Salute to Nick on that one. Man, that dude came through. Yeah, we asked the internet for receipts. Bro came with one quickly. He's like, here you go. Now we just got to connect John Michael Liles and whoever owns his jersey, either it's in a frame in their house or sitting in a storage unit or something like that.
I kind of hope it's somebody who might have been a rival and they just bought it and then hit it.
Like a Habs fan or something?
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't even want to talk about Habs, but that would be hilarious. You're right. Let's pop over, though, to the hardcourt. Raptors are in Denver to take on the Nuggets. We're hoping for a big win from them. And I know that Denver, they struggled and they have been struggling a little bit. And I can never count out the Denver Nuggets when they have the Joker on the team. So let's keep Dan's like worryometer going. Are you worried about the Raptors going into this? Where yes, we're still waiting for an injury update to see if CMB will in fact be out for tonight's game.
I think it's still like just an ongoing process. I'm not very worried about the Raptors. I'm kind of comfortable with where they are. So I'll be a 2 on the worryometer for the Raptors.
Thank heavens.
The back end of the season here, but they've been really impressive these last few games, especially that game against Detroit. You know, I think back earlier in the season there was a game against Denver where Djokovic. Where Joker wasn't playing, Jokic wasn't playing Djokovic. I'm thinking tennis over here,
but same Joker.
Yeah, same Joker. So Jokic wasn't playing, and they're like, "Oh, this should be a win for the Raptors," and it wasn't. So it's continually finding their identity again after they seemingly lost it a little bit through the middle part of the season. They're finding it again on the fast break points, more assists, getting everybody involved. More guys are healthy. You got Pirtle healthy. You've got RJ healthy. How does that look against some of the better teams in the NBA? That's what I think, and Cab, you alluded to this. That's what this road trip should be about.
Yes, and I'm with you. I'm not worried. I think that with Pirtle back, and this might be a game where Coach Rajakovic, we had Will Liu on earlier this week, and he asked Coach this question. How big will your rotation be in games of importance, and will you shorten that bench? And he didn't really give him a definitive answer, but we could see from how long each player, the starters played against. I think it was Detroit where Pirtle played a season high 36 minutes. RJ was around 37. Brandon Ingram 38. Scotty I think was around maybe 35 or 36. But Coach Rajakovic trusts Jamal Shed, and he trusts Jacoby Walter a little bit, but that bench, we're talking 6-7 guys, and we might see that tonight in Denver, who's lost. They just had an embarrassing loss to Memphis, so this could be a bounce back game for the Nuggets, and which would make it a tough situation for Toronto. But our guys are cooking. Huge wins against Phoenix and Detroit recently. We slapped. It was belt to ass against Chicago. So Toronto's coming in with some heat and some confidence, winners of 3 in a row. And Denver's got some issues to figure out as far as its edge and as far as like Aaron Gordon's health. And that game you're referencing, Dan, against that Denver one in Toronto, it came down to a Brandon Ingram 3, and his hands were just on the ball. Remember, he hits the shot, which I think would have been a game winner, or we go to overtime. I think it would have been a game winner, but the ball was just on his fingertips. So this team has enough talent to beat Denver, and as Denver is currently 6th in the Western Conference, and Toronto, I believe, is 5th in the East. No team is infallible. So I'm confident with Toronto tonight.
Oh, we lost audio on Lindsay.
To the end of the show.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We lost your audio off the top, Linz. But we got you now.
You were singing Mambo number 5, to be honest. I don't know.
I absolutely was, and I think my connection's probably going to get weak, because if you can hear the music, they're starting to really celebrate, because they're going to take batting practice right now. And I know we're talking about Raptors, but Nick, if you are able to bring out the other shot eventually when you are connected to it, I just want to show everyone what's happening here. George Springer, Popkins, and them are dancing to the music that's happening here. They did not take the trip to Fort Myers, which is about a 3-hour drive on a good day. But eventually we'll show that. But let's talk about other news in the association.
There we go.
So yeah, in the cage right now, that is Alejandro Kirk, who is in charge of the music right now. So yeah, let's just take in this moment. So I know people are also hoping that he has a great year at bat. Maybe he'll steal another base. Do you guys, let's get a prediction right now. Do you think Kirky will steal another base this season?
I'm going to say no, because it's probably going to rely on defensive indifference for him to steal another base. So maybe not. But I was perusing Fangraphs and their positional power rankings going into the season. And Mariners at catcher are number 1, obviously, with the big dumper in Cal Raleigh. But at number 2 is the Blue Jays with Alejandro Kirk. He had an incredible season last year and is the best defensive catcher in all of baseball. So Kirky, a massive part of this Blue Jays team, and good to see him getting some swings in.
Alejandro Kirk, if it's over under half a stolen base, I'm taking the over. For the season total, I might even go 2 stolen bases. I'm going to say
I feel like I'd be more likely to steal a base than Alejandro Kirk.
I bet he can beat you in a race.
Make that happen. Yeah, we need to make that happen. We need to see Alejandro Kirk against Dan running the bases at the arena. I'm calling it Sky Dome. I was going to call it that thing. It's Sky Dome to me, which, by the way, they have a Lego set right now where you can build up the Sky Dome. I kind of want that, but would also make our intern do it because I feel like I get frustrated. And if you're watching right now, or if you're not, join us on YouTube on Nation Network. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Is that Vladdy is in the cage right now. And yeah, we'll be doing our predictions for the season going into next week as their home opener is 1 week away from today. Now, this guy coming up here, George Springer, a lot of conversations about him because we all know what happened last year with him. And many wondering, is he going to be able to have the same or better season than what we saw last year? Because in normal people ages, he's young, but in baseball and athletes, he's considered quite mature, if I can put that politely. Cabbie,
before last year, we thought he was cooked. It wasn't looking good for Springer after the 2024 season. It was like, man, what are the Blue Jays going to do with this contract? And then last year, he was their MVP. Like, they don't go to the playoffs without George Springer's bat in the regular season.
Springer had
2 home runs.
He had a huge comeback season. The dude batted, I'm just looking it up here, 309, had 32 homers and 84 RBI, had a on base of 400, a OPS of 959. Like, the dude it was a huge resurgence, a WAR of almost 5. It might be
one of his best seasons of his career.
Correct. It might be too optimistic to think that he can replicate that. And let me just check his age here. I think he turns 36 this year. Sorry, he is 36. He'll turn 37 over the course of the season. But yeah, it was awesome to see. Even if he can get to 3/4 of that, 80% of that production, that would be great.
Yeah,
I'm of the mind that Vladdy is going to make up a lot of the Blue Jays offense this year. I don't know if he turned a corner in the postseason or if that was just an unbelievable freakish hot streak that he was on, but he showed it again in the World Baseball Classic. He was hitting it seemed like every ball he was hitting had an exit velo over 100 miles an hour. And I know that's what Vladdy does a lot of the time, but it just feels like he has taken another leap as a player. Like, if the Jays don't get – he was good last year. He was great last year in the regular season even. But they need Vladdy to be elite, right? Like he was, maybe not all season long like he was in the playoffs, but close to that. We're talking 35-plus homers, over 1,000 OPS. Like, this guy has got to carry the mail of this offense in a way that he didn't really do last year during the regular season, and that's gonna be he's got to be the leader of this offense. I don't think there's another way around it for the Blue Jays.
Vladdy's in his prime right now, dude.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Linz.
No, I was also like, he's in his prime. You want to see this from him, especially after the lovely payday that he received last season. There's going to be huge expectations on him again. I remember at the beginning of last year, after that payday, there was like, oh, is this one of those scenarios where that athlete gets that big chunk of change and then they don't live up to the hype? But we're going to continue our Blue Jays conversations all next week. But guys, I have to stop it just for a moment because I always want to know what your Pro Line pick is. And it is that time because let me try this one more time, guys. It's our time for our Pro Line look ahead. The new Pro Line app is here. Betting online with Pro Line Plus and betting in store with Pro Line are both easier than ever with their new app. More sports, more leagues, and more markets than ever. Bet on March Madness all tournament long online with Pro Line Plus or in store with Pro Line. And hey, Duke, that was a risky one that happened yesterday. But Dan, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, the dogs were eating yesterday in day one of March Madness, but we're looking at the ice and we're looking at the Colorado Avalanche. We were just talking to John Michael Liles. I've got Marty Necas for a couple of points tonight. I was looking at Nathan McKinnon, but you got to pay a little bit of juice there, so we're going to go with Martin Necas to get us 2 points tonight and head us into the weekend with a win.
For entertainment purposes only, I am staying in Denver. The Denver Nuggets will be facing the Toronto Raptors, and Emmanuel Quickley is one of the catalysts of Toronto's identity. Great passing team, up-tempo, and hurts you in transition. RJ Barrett's scored 20 or more in 7 of his last 8. Brendan Ingram's averaged 30 in his last 3 games. In the month of March, Emmanuel Quickley is averaging 6.4 assists per game. So tonight, the play is Emmanuel Quickley, 6 or more assists in Denver versus the Nuggets. That is my Proline look-ahead play of the day.
Love it. For entertainment purposes only, Dan will not be enjoying watching Project Hail Mary this weekend because when you went to go get tickets, Dan, it looked like it was sold out. This is, of course, the Ryan Gosling movie.
Okay, I was being real movie nerd. I wanted to watch it in IMAX and have the full experience of it all. And I was like, I'm not used to having to like plan ahead to go watch a movie. Whenever I've gone to watch a movie in recent years, it's just like, okay, like you just show up and there's plenty of seats available. Movies aren't really as popular as they used to be. I'm not a Marvel movie guy, so I'm not like, planning weeks ahead to get my Avengers tickets or anything like that. So I was kind of surprised. Like I read Project Hail Mary. Yeah, I know, weird flex, bro. But I read the book and I really wanted to see the movie. And I was disappointed. Like I can't get tickets for this weekend. So shout out to Ryan Gosling. The marketing has worked for Project Hail Mary. They've been on the marketing trail for a while, and they've done a really good job with it.
Cabbie, what is the last movie you saw in theater willingly that your family did not drag you to or a friend?
I went to see on a solo mission. I went to see Avatar 3. I think it's called Fire and Ice, and I saw it in IMAX, and it is spectacular. Okay. I know James Cameron isn't as acclaimed as a filmmaker as some of his contemporaries, but as far as world building and visuals and cinematography, it is fantastic. The story is above average, but it's a fully immersive experience. And like Dan, if a movie is made for IMAX, pay the extra whatever to go see it because it's generally a great experience. So Avatar 3 was the last movie that I saw. Will you see any movies while you're in Florida, Lindsay?
The movie of the Blue Jays playing a couple spring training games would be mine. Okay. I probably not. I am flying back tonight at 10:25 p.m. because we have a big show next week. Rumor has it the biggest star in Calgary is supposed to be in Toronto, unless I got my schedule wrong. Am I wrong?
Yes, I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Okay. I got it wrong. I got it wrong.
I'm so sorry.
My schedule. I'm so sorry. I was so excited. I have it in like asterisks in my calendar. I'm like, the gang is finally together. So in 2 weeks, you get ready for us finally all being together in the same room. But yeah, I'll watch a movie on the plane, which I will let you know what that will be. The last
Justin in the chat says you should watch Shrek, Linz.
You can shove it, Justin, in the chat. Just kidding. I need to watch Shrek. I actually went to see if it was available on the lovely movies available, and it says no, which then brings me to one of my grievances. Who selects the movies and the categories on the flight? Because in no way is My Girl a comedy. If you have watched that movie and have a soul, you're crying. That's not a comedy. And some of them are horror movies that are in the comedy. I'm like, this is setting somebody up for a very awful flight. Oh man, hey, Internet Sleuths, maybe Nick, our producer, knows who's in charge of picking the Air Canada movie categories. I need to have a word for them because I can't even remember what the movie was I watched. I feel like it was Megan, which was like a robot stabbing lady horror movie.
Yeah,
so 10 seconds of it was categorized as a comedy for a moment. That was not a comedy, and I'm gonna have nightmares for the rest of my life. It is so, but I didn't even laugh the the whole time I had like the volume off. Like, why am I still watching this? Like, I need to switch it. But yeah, on Monday we're going to be talking about the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, we're going to hear from hopefully Kevin Gausman. We're going to hear from Max Scherzer. We're going to talk about the Raptors. What happened with the Leafs on the weekend? Hopefully something that makes people happy, and check in on poor Dan and how worried he is about everything. Go watch a movie this weekend. Let us know on Monday what it is in the chat. Thank you, as always, for joining us for Off the Roster. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. We're going to see Cabbie in 2 weeks.
Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more Off the Roster content, make sure to like and hype this video and subscribe to the Nation Network YouTube channel.